Hello, friends and listeners. We are proud to present today's guest, Dr. Siobahn Day Grady. She was the first woman to graduate with a PhD in computer science from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. She also holds a master's in artificial intelligence and computer science from the same school. Dr. Grady created a program called STEM It Yourself. This program works with girls in Pitt County, North Carolina, and helps them develop their own STEM identity through a 9-month program, regularly keeping contact and conducting activities via iPads and virtual experiences. She also volunteers with a number of organizations, including Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Black Girls Code, and more, to teach computer science. She is currently an assistant professor of information science and systems in the School of Library and Information Science at North Carolina Central University. Dr. Grady has worked in the higher education industry for over 10 years and is skilled in topics including databases, development, project management, programming, software documentation, teaching, and training. She is also an AAAS If Then ambassador, with her statue appearing in the If Then She Can exhibit that premiered on May 15th of 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Grady, welcome. We are so excited to have you on our show. Let's talk computer science.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sandy, for having me today.
Yep, pleasure is ours. So tell us more about your work and how did you get to where you are today? You have an amazing and super impressive background.
Thank you so much. I think how did I get here today is a journey. It started off in my childhood. I'm an only child, and it started off with me spending an excessive amount of time playing video games. It went from video games to playing the games on the computer to then developing websites, and the story goes on from there. But the major parts of that are my parents. My dad is a programmer. My mother worked at IBM most of my life. And so I was very fortunate to have living role models and examples in my home. So that probably had a lot to do with me exploring computer science. I also was involved in other programs. One was called MSEN. I think it's Math, Science, and Engineering Network. So I did those in after school activities and also Saturday academies. And when it came time for college, I knew that I wanted to major in computer science. And by the way, I love math too. So that didn't hurt because computer science and math kind of go right there together. And so, I went to college, got my undergraduate at Winston-Salem State University, which is HBCU. HBCU stands for Historically Black College or University. And I'm also a 3-time HBCU graduate. And once I graduated from Winston-Salem State University, I decided to go into the workforce. But it wasn't long after that I realized I wanted to go back to school. And I actually got my master's degree from North Carolina Central University in the department that I now teach in. So my professors that were there when I was there, they are now my colleagues. So I consider that to be a full circle moment for me that I'm very proud of. But what I'm trying to say is, how did I get here? When I was working on my master's at NCCU, I also worked full time. And I was working in the IT department at the university and going to school full time. And I realized not only did I truly love technology, but I started to really understand that I love people. And I thought, what better way was there to merge the two than to become a professor? Because you get to still do all the technical work, but then you also get to work with students and see them realize their full potential. And so that's why I went back to get my PhD, because I love research. I love technology. It's always on the cutting edge. It's always evolving. And that causes me to evolve and challenge myself and to learn and grow just as much as the technology changes. So love people, love technology. And what I decided to research in my doctorate, again, artificial intelligence. That is something that is here, it's been around, but we are using it more than ever. And it's in everything that we do, from when we do searches and search engines to when we talk to our Google devices. Hey, Google, say hello.
Howdy.
If, from when it's recognizing our voices using natural language processing and machine learning to predict what it is that it thinks that we want. And so I did my research in machine learning and on social media. I researched misinformation, and I used natural language processing and machine learning to see if I could identify sources of misinformation on Twitter data. And so I thought that was really fascinating because I was at the time fascinated by the 2016 election. And as we know now, a lot happened within the 2020 election. So it just keeps going from there, these terms, fake news, alternative facts. And since that time, I have expanded my research to using machine learning to identify faults within autonomous vehicles. And I'm very excited about that work. And the last thing that I want to say is, in addition to that, you mentioned the AAAS ambassadorship. That actually gave me an opportunity to do research in what I would say is a passion, which is being representation. So I started a program, and I hope we talk about it a little bit later, but people have heard of DIY, do it yourself. I thought that I would come up with something called STEM it yourself. To see if I could actually do some research on helping change the narrative of what women in STEM or what the STEM workforce looks like. So that's a little bit about my research, how I got to this point. And I would be remiss if I didn't say I got to this point through lots of people supporting me, praying for me, and encouraging me, because none of what we do is a lone venture. It really does take a village. And so I'm very grateful for my village and all that they've done to help me get to this point. And
wow, you have said like so many interesting things and thought-provoking things. I wanted to ask so many questions on every topic that you've talked about. So parents are a role model for you, but now you are a role model for so many people. It's so impressive.
thank you.
And like, you are studying and making a difference like in so many levels. You're studying artificial intelligence, driverless cars. So I mean, like, elections, that's how the world is running. Wow, like you're on the cutting edge stuff that impacts everyone that's living right now. It is super, super impressive what you're doing. And I'm sure along your path, I'm sure you had like so many opportunities to go into corporate and just start earning and making money, but you stuck and did PhD in artificial intelligence and computer science. So that definitely talks about your passion for these topics. So I'm sure you're sought after like for so many things. Wow. No, it's beyond impressive. Our introduction didn't even touch any of this. So I would like to know more about your artificial intelligence work, and what do you think about AI, and how do you think like the girls and underserved community should get involved with more AI?
Yes. So my thoughts about AI is I love it. It's cool. It's wonderful, but there are so many who don't understand its impacts. And so one way that I think we can start working with underserved communities is empowering them. So we have data literacy programs. We need other programs to help others understand about, AI literacy. How is this technology being used? What are the impacts? Because I think, and I am doing some research on that now that I hope to get published this summer, but technology is a tool, and it's a great tool, but it's only as great as its users. And so users need to be empowered to know the ways in which it can help them, but also potential ways that it can harm them as well. So I think there's an issue there with others understanding the implications of technology and giving their data so freely. So I hope to address that. That's something I'm actually working on right now with some other collaborators that I hope to, like I say, get published this summer. But it is a concern because we give lots and lots of data all the time. Even with terms of service for social media networks, we just tend to click that accept button just so we can get access to the platform and not really truly understand what it is that we've even signed up for or what we've given away. So that's just one of the ways that I think that we can help empower underserved communities is through literacy and helping make sure that folks understand exactly what's happening.
Yep. Yeah, that's totally true. Like, I mean, learning computer science is important, but understanding what AI is like, it's almost like understanding how, I mean, it's a basic thing, how things are changing.
Things are changing and they're changing pretty quickly. Even how we've seen just within the last year where we went from completely doing everything into person to pivoting and using Google Classroom or, Google Meet or Hangout or Zoom or WebEx, the technology is here, but we just need to make sure that we're familiar with its uses and how it may impact us.
So can you please tell us about your involvement with the If Then initiative? And how do you feel about your statue appearing in the If Then She Can exhibit?
Oh, wow. To say how I feel is indescribable. It is an extreme honor to have something like this. I don't know anyone living that has a statue in their likeness. So it feels surreal. I'm still in shock. And I'm extremely have so much gratitude for the AAAS initiative and the Lot of Hill philanthropy for doing this for us, the ambassadors, because it's a huge opportunity. So I haven't quite, it hasn't sunk in yet. I hope to go out to Dallas soon to see it in person. But I'm through the moon. I couldn't have asked for anything better to happen. It's amazing. And to be amongst the other women who are also selected to be a part of this initiative. There are amazing women who I adore, who I look up to inspire me, who are a part of this initiative. So to be amongst those ladies as well is beautiful. And we've formed sort of like a sisterhood of sorts to support one another. And so it's beautiful, to say the least. And I think the other part of your question,
like, how did you get involved?
Involvement. Yeah. So ironically enough, I am always on the internet or on the computer, I should say, not even on the internet. I'm always on the computer. And I happened to see the call for ambassadors. And one of my favorite quotes, and I don't know who said it, but it's not mine, but it always says you miss 100% of the shots that you don't attempt. And so I always try to keep that near and dear to my heart, because sometimes as women in particular, we can have imposter syndrome and believe that we don't belong or we don't qualify for something. And so when I saw the call asking for applicants for the ambassador program, I decided, hey, why not? They didn't have a lot of information about what the program would look like. So it was unknown, but I thought that it was great because I've been doing outreach in broadening participation for years, even prior to obtaining my PhD. It's something I'm passionate about, service and giving back to the community. And so I thought, what better way than to just shoot my shot, see if I was worthy to be an ambassador, a national ambassador for STEM. And lo and behold, I got the news, and I didn't know what this was going to look like. And when we got to Dallas, Texas in 2019, we met each other at that time. they announced to us that they would be doing 3D scans for us to create statues. And I tell you what, I don't think there was not one person there that was expecting that. And so the opportunity has far surpassed anything that I believe any of us signed up for when we saw the call asking for ambassadors. So that's how I got involved. And I'm still involved because I do a lot of outreach. Before it was in person, but now I do a lot of speaking engagements and also, coding workshops with girls and others out there, and just sharing my STEM journey. And so the ambassadorship has helped me broaden my reach. And for that, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, like, you are a superwoman to me. You are like a role model, right? I mean, when you said like the imposter syndrome for women, I mean, like that idea shouldn't even hit you. Like, you are so successful. I mean, I mean, success is a very relative word, but you are such an amazing role model for so many girls.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sometimes I hope that I'm doing enough. I'm not sure if I'm making an impact, but you saying that, and people tell me all the time, but sometimes you can't see it because you're in the middle of it, is the best way I can explain it.
Right, because you are busy doing your
yeah, right.
right. And yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the impact your statue is gonna be like I'm sure it'll change. I'm sure there'll be so many girls who will change their career path because of you, because of your statue, what they read about you. So thank you for what you have done with your life and being such an amazing role model.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So can you please tell us a little bit more about the STEM It Yourself program? What has it been able to accomplish so far, and where do you hope to take it in the future?
Absolutely. So I'm very excited about the STEM It Yourself program. The ambassadorship, if making statues for in our likeness wasn't enough, they also gave us an opportunity to apply for funding. And so I thought, what better way, because the initiative is about, changing the narrative of, being the change that people need to see so they know that they can do STEM. And I thought, what better way could I apply for this funding, but to make it a part of the ambassadorship? So again, people have heard of DIY, do it yourself. I thought, what about STEM it yourself, SIY? I kind of really like that. And there are studies to show that middle school is a pivotal time in adolescents, young ladies' life, where they decide during those years if they want to stick with STEM. And so I thought, what better way would it be for me to honor my ambassadorship than to actually do more research with middle school girls and creating this STEM It Yourself program that would give them an opportunity to, number one, see scientists in STEM that look like them, and they would get a chance to hear their stories and actually get some type of activity or learning session to learn it about that particular discipline. And so I partnered with a organization. So I'm in Durham, North Carolina. The organization is in Pitt County, North Carolina. And Pitt County is a rural area in North Carolina. So the problem there is a lot of young people, or particular people of color, may not have access to things. And so I partner with a sorority because they have a program that they work with middle school girls. And so I just partnered with them because they had the girls, and then they allowed me to do this program for their young ladies. And so my students at North Carolina Central actually will be presenting part of what we're doing at a conference called the Respect Conference, where it's about, computer science or computing education. So I'm very excited about my students presenting. Actually, next week, they'll be presenting this work. But it's just to give an overview about what we're doing so far and what has happened. Since the program is not over yet, we'll publish our findings this summer. But some of the takeaways so far is all of the young ladies in the program are African American, and the scientists who've came to speak to them are also African American. And some of the things that we have observed so far are significant. So for instance, just to give you an idea, when we first started the sessions, some of the young ladies were very shy. They wouldn't talk, very nervous, and things of that nature. And now when we do our sessions, they change their names on Zoom. Instead of it having their name, it might say Kendall the scientist, Kendall the astronomer, like, and seeing that kind of change and them actually participating in discussions with the speakers and also with me. I don't want to tear up because I will, but one of the young ladies, one day we spent some time with them and we were asking, who is your STEM role model? Who is it you look up to? And they said, you, Dr. Grady, I want to be like you. And it was wonderful. And so it is things like that that just indicate to me the importance of these types of programs. It's really important for people to see someone that looks like them, for them to have access to these opportunities, and for them to have access to different fields of study so they can learn more about them. Because half of the battle, in my opinion, is the not knowing. When you don't have access, you don't see certain things, you really have no idea what the possibilities are. And so I look forward to continuing to see what these young ladies do in the future, because I'm telling you, some of them already have their dissertation topic mapped out. And that's quite impressive.
Yep, that is. And I'm sure where they're getting that from.
So it's been a beautiful program. And you asked me, where do I hope to take this? So right now it's a pilot study. I'm working with about 5 young ladies, but I'm hoping that once the findings are published, I'm hoping that this can be a starting point for other organizations to learn how to do this type of thing for their either for fraternity, sorority, or any other community organizations who want to do this type of work. So I'm hoping it might serve as a blueprint. And yes, I may also continue to apply for additional funding to make this program even larger than what it is right now. So those are some of the things I hope to do in the future. And it's been a very rewarding project. So I'm very grateful again for this initiative to provide that opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm going to deviate slightly towards K-12 computer science education. Can you please talk about the different trends that are happening in K-12 computer science education in the state of North Carolina?
So I can't speak to that specifically, but I do know that there have been studies that have taken place. There was one that took place at, it's called SIG-C, a special interest group of computer science education in 2020. There was a study done called a longitudinal analysis of K through 12 computing education and research in the United States and the implications and recommendations for that change. And they found that there were a few trends for the US, and those trends were locations of students and interventions, the types of articles that were written, some of the program data, such as like what concepts are taught and when was an activity offered and type of activity. And then also some trends within the student data, if students had a disability, gender, race, or ethnicity. And I can't pronounce all of the authors' names for the paper, but their names are Monica McGill, Adrian Decker, and also Bishaka, and I cannot pronounce the last name, so I don't want to do that injustice. But people can definitely go and take a look at their study that they conducted to find those trends. And I think that is a great starting point to kind of understand where things are within computer science education for K through 12.
That sounds really interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes.
So I like your program, STEM It Yourself. So how do you think we can move your program, STEM It Yourself, to make it more accessible to schools, K-12 schools?
That's a great question. One thing that I did do for the STEM It Yourself program is I created a YouTube channel so that others could actually follow along with these videos as well. Because one of the problems, again, with access, some people might not have access. So I thought the YouTube channel would be a great way for others to go and actually participate in the activities as well. And I also do have a website. as well for the STEM It Yourself that I think people can plug into and actually have a repository of other speakers that they could possibly reach out to get to speak to their students. So I think it could serve in those ways. But if I continue the program, my hope would be to establish partnerships because I'm just one person and this work actually is much bigger than me. And so if it is to expand and scale up, it definitely needs more than just myself. I need to partner with other researchers and other schools and things of that nature so that the work that is here, it can get done and it can get done even better than how it started. Because like I said, I'm just one person and it needs so much more manpower to continue to move this needle forward. So they can definitely connect by the website, the YouTube channel, and feel free to actually reach out to me if you have to the listeners, if you have other ways, or if this is inspiring you in any type way, please reach out to me. I'd love to connect and see how we can help each other.
Yep. Thank you so much for giving this away and like making it so generous and asking anyone to reach out to you so that they can give this experience to others as well. So yeah, is there anything else that you would like to add, Dr. Grady?
Let's see here. What would I like to add? I think I just want to add that I'm very grateful for you actually taking the time to speak with me today to help me continue to shed light on this important work that is a community and a global effort. And in order for things to really change in computer science education, in artificial intelligence, and in all these different fields, we need a diverse workforce. And so by you shedding light on this ambassadorship and me as a woman of color, I really appreciate that because it's going to take a lot more of you, a lot more of me, and so many other people to help change that narrative. So I thank you so much for the work that you're doing to actually shift the narrative, change the focus, and diversify this workforce. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much for your time. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. And if I were 5, I would want you as my role model.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you so much. It really does.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Grady.